talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he's like, well, you're in the audio. I was looking at a home theater setup. Is Bose any good?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I've heard this before.
Yeah, me too.
And on the headphone side, too.
I think I've heard it from family members over the years consistently.
They have very good marketing, so everyone knows they exist.
Yeah.
And because of the price point, people perceive it as being probably pretty decent.
Well, they've been around forever.
They have been around for
70s, early 70s.
Probably before that.
Their claim to fame was the 901, the one that you'd get two speakers and you'd tuck them in the corner of a room, and they actually fired out the rear into the corner of the room and bounced off the walls, and so you give you this spatial effect. That was it. It came with like an electronic EQ box and went with it, and these things weren't cheap back in the day. We're talking it was an expensive system, so it was considered a premium audio system back then. I think it was the early 70s, but
yeah. The selection was pretty limited back then, though.
Yeah, right.
Especially in consumer space.
Yeah, it was like that and whatever you could carry
much
from Japan, basically, is what you saw here, So yeah, but they did a shit ton of marketing on that, and it became like the de facto standard for home audio, two-channel, sort of, so to speak, even though it was not so good in terms of what stereo could be, because you're bouncing sound off of walls. So you're obviously depending on the room to do the work for you, not the speaker.
Yeah, and this was way before fancy DSP and stuff to sort out some of the issues.
That's true.
It was not ideal.
Yeah, no, speakers weren't big. They were about this big, and they had like things that looked like little jet engines coming out either side, and they were actually angled in the back. They went at an angle, so they actually made the tuck toward a wall, and one would fire toward the one wall in the corner, one would fire the other. And I guess you'd vary at the distance to the corner to decide how much bounce you get out the room,
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of wild when you think about it. But that actually was their claim to fame that gave them the brand recognition. They must have advertised the living crap out of that.
And that was like the higher end of things at the time.
Yeah, very.
So then I guess they had that recognition of like being
Being
higher
the best.
end. But then they were in mass market, like your Best Buys and your Targets and everything. They all sell Bose, and everybody like remembered that back in the day.
Right.
They were a high end speaker, and now you can get it at a Best Buy.
Yeah, they started making those little cubes that you'd stick in the walls and stuff to do surround sound with. It was like it was a box kit.
Right.
Like a 5.1 box type thing.
Yeah, then everybody started doing those.
Yeah.
I remember like Yamaha, Sony, the home theater in a box.
That was a big thing back then.
Yeah,
back
it used to be a thing.
It probably started the whole home theater revolution where people were going to specialty stores to get the real stuff.
Yeah, because they started opening up not Best Buy. They started opening up Bose stores. Remember we went to one time. They had their demos and everything.
Yeah, their lifestyle
and they only
stores.
sold Bose stuff.
Yeah.
They don't. I don't know if they even exist anymore. I think
don't think so.
They're just in Best Buy, so good enough.
Yeah.
For a while, Bose was a really big deal.
Yeah.
I know a few of my friends that asked me about it 10, 15, 20 years ago, whenever that was, and they thought this must be the greatest for home theater. It's as good as it gets, right? It's Bose. It's the best.
Yeah.
And that was a perception for a long time, and that seems to still kind of stick with some folks.
Yeah.
And
the older folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the younger
forgot.
folks too. The perception is that it's probably pretty decent because most people don't really look into these things often.
It's any well-branded company, like Frigidaire or,
Well, probably in particular, people that travel and younger people probably know Bose more for their headphones and noise canceling, and always being the best. Like in any review, it's always like they have the best noise canceling.
Well, that's the thing. They've shifted that.
So yeah, they've moved.
They shifted that whole speaker thing into headphones and did a bang-up job of it. They were de facto standard for noise cancellation forever, right?
Yeah.
Many years they had the best noise canceling headphones.
Yeah. So smart move on their part, They tapped into a large marketplace.
Yep.
But the question is, like, why do audiophiles always say Bose sucks? And I think that kind of goes back to the 70s stuff.
To the old stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's still that kind of follows suit with audiophiles. They'll still tell you that today type thing, but not as much, I don't think, because probably most of them own or have owned a Bose noise canceling headphone at some point. If you're ever going to get on a plane, that's pretty much what you're going to have if you want a real, noise canceling headphone.
Well, there's a few alternatives.
Now there's definitely they got some competition. Yeah. But there was a long span where they were it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They were at all the airports.
It has to be almost 10 years, right? Where they were they were the best if you want noise canceling.
Yeah. And they still are top
Still
shelf.
good.
Yeah. So but I think that's a deal though, for decades, the audiophiles go, oh, that's crap, bounce sound off the walls to make music type thing, and it's true.
Well, I think it's also the stigma of it being like a consumer thing, Yeah,
that's true.
It's like, oh, that's mainstream,
Yeah.
I could get it, at a Target,
Yeah. And it's high priced. The stuff was never really inexpensive, even when they moved into home theater. Their theater in a box stuff was, I don't remember the price points, but for what it was, it was pricey stuff.
They always had premium price points. Their lowest priced products were, what, $700-800 or $1,000 or something for the cheap theater in a boxes that they did like 10 years ago.
I think it was over $1,000.
Somewhere around there. Like they were pretty expensive, and that was back in a day where people didn't spend more than $100-200 on something like that,
was
right?
a lot.
1,000 was crazy.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of more understandable, oddly enough, but people don't spend much money on home theater systems, so they were always really premium.
Well, now you said they're still selling like a speaker-style multi-speaker system?
They still have them.
How much is it?
$4,000.
Yeah.
And their highest end one.
Really? That's expensive. For a Bose branded box system style. It's a box system still?
Yeah.
Because now everyone's shifted over to the sound bar, so pretty much multi-speaker.
It has a sound bar in there.
Oh,
That's
I see.
Like the center. And then they just got the satellite.
So it's a premium sound bar.
Yeah. Sound bar plus with some extra.
People are spending hundreds on sound bars easy.
Yeah. They're all expensive. I don't even think you could get one for hundreds.
Well, you can.
Yeah.
They're pretty bad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You want them.
The average seems like $600-800 seems to be the average.
Yeah. Like at Best Buy.
For the decent ones,
Yeah. Which is great, I guess, because they work. For most people, that's all they need.
Well, it's easy. Again, convenience.
Right.
You just plug it in and plug an HDMI cable into it.
Well, especially if you're renting, you don't own the home or something like that. You're not wiring in 14 speakers all around you. That's super impractical.
Yeah. Because I remember when I did it in my house, oh man, running wires through the wall.
Yeah, right.
Sucks.
Like, that's a pain in the ass.
It's up the top of the ceiling and stuff.
Yeah. You always hit one wall that just doesn't want to let you through.
Stud in it.
It's like 3 hours to do one wall and an hour to do the other one.
Yeah, I think it took like 5 hours to put the rear speakers in.
Yeah, maybe modern houses are a little better at that. I don't know. Maybe there's less wood in there, but I don't know. I always seem to hit something on one wall. It's like, shit, I should have gone one stud over,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have a hole that goes nowhere. I was like, there's something in the way on this one.
So I get it. With all the wireless thing, it makes a lot of friggin' sense. And, it certainly sells product.
Or like in a bedroom, you're not going to put probably a five-channel, multi-channel home theater system in your bedroom.
Yeah.
So.
You could.
I mean, you could.
The bathroom would be a little sketch.
Yeah, wow.
To do home theater.
The soundbar is a little pushing it in most bathrooms.
Soundbar would be pushing it.
Although lately I've been thinking about throwing an iPod and sticking it to the glass shower and just be able to watch YouTube videos while you're taking a shower. That'd be different, right?
iPad,
that reaches addictive levels, if you ask me. If you got to go that far,
shower time, you gotta just step away.
You're still gotta like, what would you call it?
Consume content.
Yeah, information has to be flowing in your brain even while you're taking 10 minutes out to take a shower. I guess it gets to a point where it's like stupid, But so anyway, it's kind of the whole deal with audiophiles hating Bose really strolls back to the 70s where they called bullshit on bouncing sound off of walls. And,
and I think it's also a little combination of the Beats effect, you might call it, right? Because for such a long time, Beats were huge and consumers loved them, and audiophiles always said, oh, they're so overpriced, they're terrible. For $53, you could get this headphone that outperforms it and stuff like that, right? And I think it's a little bit of that, because you could find systems that are better at a lower price if you don't take the other factors into account.
Yeah.
If you don't take the convenience into account, the ease of use, the aesthetics, or things like that, then there's always something that's better. But that's a complicated topic, because it's kind of like saying that a heavily modified car is better than a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or something because it's faster in a straight line in certain conditions. That's misleading. It's more complicated than that.
Well, I think audiophiles don't really care as much on the lifestyle aspect of it, and that's what Bose kind of is, more lifestyle-y, and they're like, I want performance though, I don't really care about lifestyle, little small compact packages, so.
But a lot of people do,
there.
right? They want little speakers. They want to not see it. They don't want wires. They don't want hassle and inconvenience. They want it integrated well, and they want it to work. And so sometimes the best choice might be a brand like Bose or one of those other consumer-oriented brands.
Yeah, and that's gone on for years. It's always been a thing. You got your consumer-based products that are high volume, high quantity, sold in every store versus a specialty niche items and speakers and so on, and that goes for everything. You know,
Well,
you walk into a Williams Sonoma, and you're not going to sit there and be able to buy a $10 5-pack of knives. It just doesn't exist in a store like that, right?
Right.
You could get it elsewhere.
Yeah.
So why bother?
Yeah. For that, you can go anywhere and get that. Walmarts and Targets of the world have. Hell, even they, I think, have $10 knives anymore.
No,
I think they've stepped up a bit.
No, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because in some part, people do realize that you get what you pay for.
Well, yeah, but I guess it's like they're coming at it from two opposite ends, because like the audiophile, you do want big, impressive. Look at these speakers, usually,
Mm-hmm.
and then like a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to see it. I just want it to work, in like
two different objectives.
So,
and companies like Bose are appealing to the sensibilities of the mass market. They know what those people want for the most part on average, and they try to make a product that appeals to it. It's just like Apple. People complain all the time about Apple products being something like overpriced or terrible value or bad or slow or something like that. And maybe for them that's the case. But for what average consumers look for, a lot of times they hit the mark. People value aesthetics sometimes. They value convenience.
Sure.
They
Big
value
time.
brands even, right? So not everybody wants to buy a knockoff brand. They want to buy a brand name. It makes them feel better. They don't care if they pay a little bit more for it.
And value is the key word. They value what they're willing to pay for it, too.
What it pretty much seems to come down to is there's a time and a place for most things. And with these consumer-oriented brands, there's a reason why they exist. They're not made to appeal to one person. They're made to appeal to most people.
The masses.
Yeah. The average person, what they're looking for in an average system when they don't really know what they want or what's good. And for that, it works fine. And so maybe it's not the best value, right? They don't claim to be the best value, but for what the average person's looking for, they seem to do a decent enough job. So I guess that's why they still exist.
Yeah. So be it. And by the same token, the reason why companies like us exist, like Abyss and so on, are really tiny niche companies, is to obviously provide product and services to customers looking for a step above that, or multiple
Maybe
steps
a few
above
steps
that.
above,
Yeah, a few steps above that, And by all means, we're no Bose in terms of quantity, not even freaking close. Or but
they cater to crazy people.
Yeah, well, crazy audiophiles, people that are just so into it. They want to hear every freaking ounce of energy. That's awesome. That's why we're doing it, because that's what we're into. For us, the Bose lifestyle stuff or what have you, or anyone that makes product, it's not our cup of tea. It's not what we're after.
Well, unless you're on a plane.
Yeah, well, that's true. Unless you're on a plane. Yeah, unless you want to cancel noise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that about wraps it up for today. If you have any questions that you want to ask us, you can send them to totl@abyssheadphones.com, or you can just leave a question in the comments below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.